Hello, everybody, and more applause. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Quantum Leap Revisited, a show that we do once a week where we celebrate the classic Quantum Leap series that ran between 1989 to 1993, starring Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. And as usual, I have this wonderful panel of gentlemen with me. Each of them bring really interesting takes to the table. For starters, we have Ro from the Sacrif Podcast. Ro is the host of the Sacrif Podcast, which you can hear on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Amazon, anywhere that there's podcasts. And he, in addition to that, he's a veteran broadcast newsman. And in addition to all of that, he's also the co-founder of the Red 5 Network. How's it going, Ro?
It's going fantastic. Good to be here.
Oh, you're roboting now.
Right. After a great intro, I feel like there was a tiny bit of a robot.
And even with the test before the show.
Right, we tested it and it was so great. But I
think it's when it mutes us and then we come back.
Yeah,
then
it's
sometimes it messes up.
It's something weird. It could be a StreamYard thing. Ro, talk to me again. All right. Well, that was Ro. Ro is great. You should check out his stuff. Next, we have with us the Script Doctor. Now, the Script Doctor, he's a veteran screenwriter. He has his own Patreon where he teaches screenwriting. In addition to that, on his own YouTube channel, the Script Doctor, every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, there's his show, Scripts on Saturdays, a show where he analyzes screenplays in Hollywood that were either at one point considered by big studios for greenlight production, or at some point, in some cases, they even have greenlit them. So it's a really interesting show. I'm going to actually be there on Saturday hanging out with him. So if you haven't checked out his show, Scripts on Saturdays, on his channel, I highly recommend it. How's it going, Script?
It's going well. Happy to be here tonight for the penultimate episode of to this season finale.
Yes, that it is. This week's episode is an episode, but actually next week's episode is a far more kind of interesting one, but we'll get to it. And finally, we have with us the Backyard Tardis. The Backyard Tardis, that's Nick. Nick is a pastor at his local church. In addition to that, he's also the local locksmith in his town. He also assists the sheriff and the fire department in special operations. And in addition to that, he has his own ranch where he raises goats, and he's an expert in science fiction. How's it going, Nick?
Going good. As you can see, I've got the part of Harry in Home Alone 7, but I doing good. In fact, I am the wet bane, and it is. We've had over 12 inches in the last 2 days. So
I feel like you're on Starlink.
Yeah, it's just water everywhere here.
Well, that's good. At least you're staying dry, and it's good to see you here. It's actually nice that all four of us are here today. Unfortunately, Sean, with his work, it's sometimes tricky. But last week, actually, when everybody had some kind of problem, Sean showed up. So it still was nice that we got to do a little, nice episode with him.
Yeah. I'm sorry I had to bail on you guys, but I got
also. But initially, we started just me and Sean.
I got a last minute beach vacation, so in Santa Barbara, so I had to take it.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, life happens, and we understand that, and we all do our best every week to be here. And of course, we're very happy. We have some great people in the chat, some people that we often see here, and we're always happy to see them. So hello to you all, whether it's Tex or Ron or Tracy Alexander. Also nice to see you here. So in any case, this week we have Nuclear Family, and that is the third season. It's the 21st episode in the third season. And basically, it's like you said, it's one before the season finale of season 3. That season finale was a very interesting one, and the episode that comes after that season finale is interesting as well. So I think that ahead of us are a few interesting episodes, but this one was kind of like quiet before the storm, this episode. Nuclear Family, it's a pretty simple story, I would say. And we're going to get into it today. But I guess before we do, just in a few words, you don't have to really go into all the details. We're going to look at all the scenes, but what did you feel about this week's episode about nuclear family?
I really enjoyed it. Am I motorboating? I'm good.
Yep, you're good.
Excellent. I really enjoyed it. Somebody said it in the chat. I think it's a little relevant currently, but I thought it was a simple story, but I think it was very well thought out and written story wise. I think there was some little twists and turns that kind of gave us some nice surprises, and really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
I see. Script, how did you feel about it?
I thought this was one of the simpler episodes of Quantum Leap, but I really do like how they landed the ending, and also I think it's quite fascinating to see something done in the early '90s talk about how the media has always sensationalized news for attention.
That's true. I think there was something interesting about it for sure. Give me one second here.
I would say that I enjoyed this episode. I was a little frustrated with Sam in this episode, but I enjoyed the episode, and I have a friend who she's about 20 years older than me. She can't watch any war film. She can't watch, like, she gets super PTSD triggered just from the media of the time, of like the constant threat that any day, like, the world's just going to be blown up, and having that put on you all the time. And I think there is a parallel. While it may not necessarily be the same thing, I think there's a parallel that people have in such a further over stuff going on in the world today, that it's constantly bombarding you, causing anxiety, causing a lot of people to be unwell.
I understand. Yeah, I can see that. It's definitely stressful when there's kind of an attack, a possible attack in the air, and suddenly you have to prepare in the way they do in this episode. I think that in the United States, the United States was fortunate that it didn't end up escalating in a way that they had to actually deal with these type of attacks. But in places where they do have to deal with these type of attacks, it's certainly very stressful, and can over time affect people that are in that situation and cause these type of PTSD situations that you say.
And every generation has their own thing. I know a couple weeks back, my daughter's school, and she's in second grade, they had her going through school shooting drills. And they sent out a message a couple of days in advance that, like, you need to discuss this with your kids so that they're not panicking, they're not shocked or overly concerned, but this is something that we have to do. And I think back to those days when the kids were getting under their desk and preparing for a bomb, and having that repeatedly be something on their mind, weighing on them that might happen.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So I guess we can start looking at the video for this now that everybody's here and you guys are here.
Do it.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to share the screen. You guys can discuss that amongst yourselves. Okay. I made it bigger, Ro.
Thank you. And big in it.
Because you like big things. I'm just kidding. In any case, that wasn't very nice of me. I'm sorry, Ro. In any case, it starts off, theorizing that one could travel in his own time. His only guide on his journey is Al.
Sorry, Tex. We're doing the voices.
Will be the leap home. And then it's like, come on, the Ruskies are coming. They dropped a bomb in New York. What are you doing? Do 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 do. And then do 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 do. And then what? What happened?
I'm sorry, I'm just liking the and then and then going straight into the voices.
Oh, and that was what did that happen already when the kids called Sam?
Oh, that's in a second. First of all, he's like, well, this has been a broadcast test, and if this was a real bomb, you'd have to be prepared and blah blah blah. And then
you'd be dead.
You'd be dead. Duck and cover. And then they're like, all right, well, the test is over. And then he's just there, and the girl's like, Sam. And then he's like, yeah. And then it turns out that the Sam is like the dog.
Right.
Let me see where that dog is.
Right here. She's calling him. Sam,
it's nice that the dog has a...
He's prepared too.
You know, it's I'm trying to think. I don't want to be like a plot hole like with you, Ro, but I'm not sure they would put that mask on that dog. I'm trying to think if at that time they already had even masks for dogs. Did they even have that?
I don't know.
Because it's really hard to...
I'm pretty sure there'd be some skeevy guy out there selling.
Sure, selling.
I guess there'd be somebody trying to sell it, but it's really hard to make, the dog be able to put that on and not, I think that would be tough personally, but
I think the dad is that skeevy guy.
the dad probably put it together. Yeah.
And for an extra $50, you get a mask for your dog.
Right.
I mean, that actor does play that type quite often.
Yeah. Right.
It's a familiar actor. By the way, Ro, what do you think of this scene now that they do this?
Yeah, it's fine. It worked. And I think they obviously by this time it looks like they've mastered the technique. A little, camera trucking around an arc, and then you get to a spot where both actors are doing their thing. Yeah. Yeah,
it looks good. I mean, I thought it looked good. And then the other actors here, and then they cut back here. It was done pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
And then they go out and they're like, "Oh, look, Dad, it's planes." And it's October 26, 1962. I think they're in Florida or something. Where are they?
Yeah, they're in Florida, about 200 miles away from the coast, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, 200 miles away. And then he's like, "Well, we gotta sell them bomb shelters, don't we?" And then that's Bert the Turtle because his wife left him for the pool boy, or something like that. I don't know.
Something like that.
Something like that.
There's something
I didn't get the turtle part.
Neither did I.
It's one of the kids said something, or the kids call him that, but did they explain why?
Kids call him Bert the Turtle because his wife left him for the pool boy. But I don't know why his kids would call him because of that. That doesn't really make... That's a plot hole, Ro, but whatever.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like a turtle.
He doesn't look like even a bird, but yeah. I guess
I had a question.
Maybe he retreats into his house?
Oh, it could be. Yeah.
Maybe.
I had a question because I noticed some audio looping in the wide shot during the scene when the turtle guy came over was like completely off.
Oh, there's a couple of scenes where the looping is off. Yeah, I saw.
It's like you can see that they're saying one thing, but their mouths are not saying the exact same thing. And I'm wondering, this is one of those times where I wish we had the director with us, kind of hanging out, because I would ask them like, what happened in the script? Why did you guys change it? And you're right. Script there was a couple of different times that happened.
Yeah, there was even one when Al had some lines in the bomb shelter or in the house where he's clearly not saying what his lips are not matching with the words.
I thought my DVD was off for some reason, but yeah.
Interesting. I was very busy, so I guess I didn't notice. This is written by Paul Brown. I think he's the brother of Julie Brown, and he's part of the production team here. So yeah, and then directed by James Whitmore Jr., another name that I feel like I've seen before.
Yeah, I think so.
So then he's like, "Well, Bert, you should really get that bomb shelter. It's so great when the Rooskies come." And then he's like, "I don't know. I have a pool, and pool will be better when I sell my home. It's better for the value." And then he's like, "But maybe you could give me a tour of your shelter." And then he's like, "Well, little brother, you can do the sale." And then like he lets him go in there, and Sam doesn't know what he's doing, so he's reading off the pamphlet, which is an awful sales pitch.
Scott Bakula is so good at playing fish out of water.
Yep.
With the series, it's like every time it's like you think that he, does such a marvelous job at it. Like the next episode is like, he's great all over.
Right.
And I think this is one of the reasons, I guess, for me in this episode that I didn't enjoy how Sam interacted with the characters was because it just seemed
Bryce,
like,
were you intending to have the sound on?
No. I cut it off now. Hopefully nobody will ever hear that. But yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. I don't know if it was a little too much for me, fish out of water situation, but it is what it is. But I like I said, I enjoyed the episode overall. But he does great.
I think that sometimes when it seems like it's over the top, at least his acting is so good that you kind of let it slide.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those cases because he can't sell this thing. He doesn't even know what he's talking about, that he would read from this pamphlet. It's ridiculous, but somehow there's enough goodwill here and good acting that you're just like, whatever. And, he's reading off the pamphlet.
It's kind of weird because the way he's doing it, like, it is a little awkward because you feel like, you could read a bullet point and then present it a lot better. Like he's stopping mid sentences, looking at the guy, and then finishing the sentence by reading it out of the pamphlet. But I think when he has his second time doing it is when it's even more of okay, you've had time to learn how to do this.
Right. So, and then they're like, well, now that you're single, maybe you want to put in this room, you could put some pinball, turn it into a rumpus room. And then he looks at it and I guess he tries to sell. I don't remember every single word here, but he's like, well, now you got this outfit. It's all for the low price of $2,500 or something like that. I don't know. He's like, well, I'll have to think about it.
I got to put my milk away. Yep.
Well, it was 20% off, and it was still like 20% off.
Yeah, $3,000. It was $3,000, but he was going to give him 20% off.
I'm giving you a family and friend price. I'll give you $2,500. And then he's like, "Well, little brother, we got to do them sales." And then Al shows up. Sam.
This is kind of a cool little gimmicky thing where he pops up, not really level to the floor.
That was kind of cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like those little touches that sometimes they just think, why don't we just throw that in there?
We do this. Right. Yeah, and I think, is this the first time that we ever get a reverse shot of Sam talking to Al, and then you have the camera behind the white special effects door where Sam is talking to him? I don't think I've ever remember seeing that.
Where do we see this?
When he leaves.
Oh, okay. So at this point, he's like, does he already know what he's here for?
Yeah.
Kind of. Yes, I think this is where he learns that Bert is shot, but they only learn that from a newspaper article. They don't have all the details yet.
Well, you're here to stop Bert from getting shot.
And they're arguing, like, Sam can't imagine, like, he was just talking with the guy, like, he's his neighbor. He's not going to shoot him, like, he's having trouble comprehending the concept of this panic.
Sam, this was a very difficult time. You don't know what it was like to live during this time. People were very, very stressed about what was going on.
Now, if they made the episode today, it could be about toilet paper and...
Yeah, toilet paper, right. Here's that shot I was talking about. I don't remember ever seeing like a reverse shot of a conversation between the two.
No, I don't remember ever seeing something like that either. It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's... Oh, look. Yeah. What are they talking about here? Oh, and then he's like...
Oh, how the Ruskies are really just like us. They have families, they have homes. They probably don't want to hurt us.
That's what Sam tells him. He's like, well,
right.
I know you children are worried, but the Ruskies actually, they're just like us. Well, what are you telling my kids? And then
at first I thought the little blonde girl was Cindy Olsen.
She looks like her. I thought the same thing, Ro.
Yeah.
That was the same thing that crossed my mind. I said it couldn't be, but it looks like they brought a girl and wanted her to look like Cindy Olsen. It's exactly, I can't believe it, Ro, exactly what I was thinking. Great minds think alike. And then it's like,
exactly.
Is the Mr. Ed, whatever this is, and the horse is like talking. We interrupt this broadcast for a special bulletin.
Here's a plot hole, by the way. According to IMDb, this scene is a television model from the 80s that did not exist in 1962.
I see. Oh, well. They tried. And the U.S. intercepted a ship with some coming into Cuba, and they inspected it, and it had a lot of stuff. They let it through, but this is still a acute crisis with the missiles and blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, I'm scared, Mommy. What do I do? Oh, that's all right. That's all right, son. You go.
And he goes, I'll defend the land with my fake toy guns.
I'll protect your pa. Well, what are you telling my kids about that? I don't know if this is the part. I don't know what he's saying here. Oh, I remember here. He's like, don't you think you don't know what's going to happen? Yeah, I remember the days that there was that Dust Bowl. You weren't around yet, right. But I was with Pa, and there was so much dust, it covered our entire farm. Not only did our farm die that day, a little bit of him died as well. Or something like that. Sorry, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
I think you got it. Yeah, I think them talking about the Dust Bowl.
When they were telling that story, I was trying to think of like how far apart are they in age? That like because he talks about it like he was out working the ranch,
right,
when it happened. I'm thinking like, but the other one wasn't born yet,
right?
But it's interesting though. This is one of the first instances where he's like, stop making my kids get upset and stuff like that. But he's trying to calm the kids down. He's not saying, hey, they're going to blow us up.
They're kind of being jerks to him. I mean, even if it wasn't Sam, and if there's just like an uncle there saying, hey, kids, don't worry, we're going to get through this. They're like, every time he says that, they're like, don't talk to my kids like that. We're all worried sick now about what's going on. And it's like, what do you mean? So it's kind of weird, but I mean, they want to build conflict, I guess. So that's what they did.
And on the other hand, I look at Sam and I'm like, there's ways he could be reassuring them, like, well, the U.S. troops won't let it happen, or this. He seems so bent on painting the Russians.
Right.
It's like,
right. I mean, his approach
read the room. That's wrong. Not. Yeah.
I agree with you because every time he says it, he's like, don't worry, they'll never attack us. This is going to be great. Instead, say like, he should say, well, you got to trust your government. You got to trust the army. They're really on top of it. I know that they're really serious about protecting America. Just say something like that to the kids, just like you said, Nick. But he doesn't go that route. He's like, man, they're just kids. They're just, sorry, that's the sample. They're just kids just like you. They're sitting around playing toys and just like you are, and they don't want to hurt you. And they don't want anybody to hurt them. And it's like, I don't think that's really the right approach. But
that's how you get the neighbors to label you a communist at that time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's like probably he did everything wrong here. But in any case.
But like you said, to create conflict.
Yeah, I mean, it creates conflict at least. So then he's here, and then I don't know, is his name Timmy? What's this kid's name? I can't even remember.
Jimmy, Timmy,
whatever. I'm going to go with Tim.
Everybody's name. Everybody who was a kid during that was Timmy.
Yeah. Kimberly's the daughter. I know that.
I'm gonna go with Kim and Tim. It's probably
Or
wrong,
Stevie.
but
Stevie, that's what it is.
Stevie. Okay. Hey, Stevie. Are the Russians going to come? Should I be worried? What am I going to do? No, it's going to be okay. You know how sometimes you get worried about something and then it turns out to be nothing? Like when my mom was in the hospital and she was going to die? Exactly like that. You see how she didn't die? Everything is great. It's wonderful.
No, his argument here, though, I think was much better. The way he was reasoning with him.
Yes, it was
and
better.
Helping them. Of
totally
course,
agree.
It really blew up with a girl later.
Jimmy, do you like gladiator movies?
Where is that from, Ro? That reminds me of
That's
something.
From Airplane.
Right. Yeah,
exactly.
One of the greatest comedies ever.
Yeah, so that's a great joke. I know exactly what you mean with that.
So it didn't occur to me that it's in and around Halloween.
A week or 10 days away or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. The U2 pilot.
Well, now
we're screwed.
The U2 pilot. You can say whatever the news was. Something about the U2 pilot doing something, but I don't.
Was shot down.
Shot down.
Yeah. Well, they're using the real historical reference.
Well, we have Mrs. Klingman. She wants to look at a shelter.
Yeah. This was a pretty good scene.
Little brother, you want to sell her the shelter?
Let me finish my breakfast first.
Well, here you have the room and the thing and the whatever. And then I think she starts saying, oh, nothing's going to stay. Nothing's going to remain from anybody. Oh,
what it was a line that he said that kind of triggered her sadness.
I think it's something.
Like they're not going to do anything to us.
Right. Oh, that's what he said.
Right.
They're not going to do anything to us.
And she goes, that reminded her of.
See, she is the opposite of the boy. She has the memory of when she was really worried, and the bad things did happen when everybody told her it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
Exactly,
I thought it was rather interesting. I actually think that this was sort of an unexpected thing that they put in the episode, and it was sort of rather interesting because I really didn't expect it. This shows sometimes the writers here have that ability to do something that's kind of out of left field, but still is interesting within an episode. And I thought that this was actually one of those moments because it's not an obvious thing that you think of when you're writing an episode to bring this example on this woman. But I thought this was kind of interesting that she explains to him that they were told that nothing is going to happen and they believed it. And then at the end they took all the Jews and sent them to Dachau and a few other of these kind of camps, and everybody died.
Yeah, I think this scene and this character really brings a little added weight to this episode for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's seemingly out of left field, but at least it sort of gives some context of the type of conversations people were having then. Different people of different backgrounds, how they felt about what was happening and how it was affecting them. You know, each one was a bit different. The husband here, he's more like, yeah, I have these shelters, I'm doing this. The other guy's like, no, I don't want a shelter. But then as time gets closer to the thing, he starts getting more worried. And this lady with her history, and it's kind of interesting that they just showed different perspectives here. Sam, did you hear that whole conversation? Yeah, and you're a mensch. My third wife, Ruthie, would say that as well, or something like that.
But not about me.
Well, little brother, I thought you were supposed to sail the shelter. You just let her go. Well, she didn't really have a lot of money. We can't think that way. How are you going to pay for your school if you can't even sail this darn shelter? If you don't pull your weight around here, I'm sending you away. Something like that. I could be wrong.
Makes me wonder what the dad did before this. Because there's only a short period of time. Bomb shelters would have been like the it thing.
Yeah.
And so, like when it goes away, he's like, "What am I going to do?"
And they were.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, and they were bomb shelters. You know. the whole nuclear thing that you see all these black and white movies from school and stop, drop, and roll. Then no, that's fire. Sorry.
Lisa Catryan tells Tex Rogers Airplane is a great movie, and I agree, it is a great movie.
Yep.
And it's sort of a classic movie. It's like there are certain movies that you just have to watch them. One could argue, even though I still enjoy the humor in it, humor is something that evolves. And sometimes humor from 40 years ago may not land in the same way that it did then, but that movie really, I think, redefined what a sort of satire movie could be. And I think so many things that we saw that came later often use that movie as a sort of point of reference.
Yeah.
So if you're really interested in kind of the history of cinema and different genres and style, that is really a unique movie, and in its own genre, really like a landmark movie, in my opinion. But that's just my two cents. Yeah, I mean, Ron Donofero disagrees. Airplane humor is a classic. It is classic, but I'm just saying that I think that when it is classic and I still enjoy the humor of it, but I'm just saying that sometimes humor is something that evolves, but there's something very unique about that thing. On the other hand, I will say that The Naked Gun, by the same people that made the Airplane, the first Naked Gun movie, I think that I laughed today just as much as I did when I saw it the first time.
Sure.
It's just a very, very funny movie. But don't want to
get... Police Squad, the series.
Yes.
Same kind of humor.
I feel Police Squad had a lot of stuff that you later saw in the movie, but I almost feel like the Police Squad TV show was a way that they could sort of find their footing with their humor. Whereas once they already had that first movie, it's like they were able to perfect all of those different jokes and gags after having this kind of dry run with the series. The movie, like they just were able to knock it out of the park.
Sure.
Real home run. But you're right. Without the show, they wouldn't have the movie. And the show was certainly...
Yeah, and Police Squad was a mid-season replacement for I don't know what other show, but that happened by chance.
I feel like a lot of these movies that we're talking about here are pretty good at making just basic situational humor that continues to be good. Some movies and stuff now, especially take something I even like MCU or something, like when they're making references to pop culture as the humor and the joke, that doesn't last. Right. When they're making a comment about a comedian, an actor, or 20, 30 years later, the new generation watch that movie and they go, "Who?"
Right.
But
we see that now all over the internet.
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of that though was just kind of fun improv, kind of zany stuff that don't call me Shirley, that's never going to go out of style. But there
are certain jokes there that are timeless, I will say that. But I really feel out of all of their movies, The Naked Gun one, that one is the one that holds up the best. It's just it's a perfect comedy movie, like of that genre, of their specific brand of humor. For me, that's just perfection. But Airplane, still amongst the greatest comedies ever made, I think. But back to Quantum Leap, as you said, the U2, the thing, the missiles, and whatever it is that they're talking about here. And then I guess at this point, Sam takes the keys because Al, I guess, already tells him that, right. Bert's not only is Bert going to die, Mac, which is this guy, is going to shoot him. So Sam takes the keys. He goes, he takes the...
This frustrated me so much because the first thing he does is he hides the bullets in a place where the kids the whole reason why you lock up the bullets is to keep the kids safe.
Right. That was dumb. That was really
that
really
little boy could come in there and go, oh cool, and load the gun, and thankfully the episode didn't go that way, but it's like. And then later, when he buries it, it's not much better. Like, throw it in a trash can down the street, or
right. Anything really, anything he would have done would have been better than what he chose to do. It was rather stupid, but it is what it is. What I will say is the only positive thing I can say is, first of all, this guy's here. Look, things are really picking up now. Listen, we need it now. I'll give you the money. We just do the bomb shelter now. I mean, look, the Russians are coming in 2 minutes. 2 minutes they're coming.
They closed down the roads for 3 hours, and all the grocery stores are empty of eggs and milk and everything. It's
really happening.
What's the brilliant part of this is you find out that the commission is 5% on the sale.
Little brother, you just made that sale. You made yourself $120. How's that for a grad school?
That is so low. That's insultingly low for a sale.
You know, but how much does it cost to make it?
Well, it's sold for $2,400, right? The cost for making it, I mean, when you're doing a small business of that, ideally the way your metric is you double the parts. You double the parts and you add labor. So you have to break that up into thirds. The brother is basically exploiting people on that.
How much was $120 in 1962? I would hope that you could buy more stuff with it back then.
It is, but technically on that, you'd want a minimum of 15 or 20% commission on a sale of that type. Of course, not 5%.
It feels kind of measly, but you know what? What can we do?
Yeah,
I get that, but I've done sales, and it's not always like it really depends on how the place is marking it up, what they have to do to get it, and what size crew they need, like what portion of that is him. But it seems low, but it all depends on how they're working it out.
I mean, if he's doing the business model properly, which is, you double the cost of parts, and then you do labor and you add labor on top of that so that your parts are paid for, and the double part of the cost is the profit. That's usually how you do it. But if you take
in a perfect world,
that's the ethical means of how you do it. I mean, I've worked in steel manufacturing, and every product that we did that we sold off to go be manufactured into cars or lights or something, we knew what their markup and metric was, and if it didn't meet that, they wouldn't get our contract with the steel that we provided, because we were privately owned, we weren't unionized, but we had a lot of ethics, and we also had profit sharing. So it's like, this is what you do, this is how you do it. And also a lot of our competitors in the United States and Mexico did the same thing. Basically said, this is how you do it, and this is how we do it. Granted, we all sold steel for different prices, of course, but the overall, what the manufacturers did with it and how they marked it up and sold it to the retailers, and then how they did their markup and stuff, it all fell in line with the parameters of that contract. Anytime you have someone that says, I don't know, they triple the price of parts and then quadruple the cost of labor, and then they still only pay their sales staff 5% commission, that is clearly gouging not just the customer, but also exploiting the sales staff. And that's ethically wrong. And it looks like the brother's doing something of that as well.
Well, I would hope that at least it would have been nicer if you gave them 10%, but maybe 5% during that time for a student was worth something.
It definitely would be worth something. I mean, $120 could pay for a semester of college easily in 62.
I don't understand how that works, though. A semester of college costs like today like $60,000. How could it cost like $120? That's insane.
That's government subsidies for you. The other part, if you wanted to put a pool in your home in the 60s, I think that'd be like $700.
The week's salary.
Yeah. So and that's like an in-ground pool. So I think like maybe $2,400 might be cost, but it's hard to really gauge, because again, does the shelter come with all the supplies as well, or is that provided by, or is that something that you have to provide? And he just puts in.
I also don't know how so quickly he's like, yep, no problem, I'll have my guys here and they'll pop it right in. And it's like, what do you mean you'll pop it right in? It's like, you have to dig in the ground and put this thing. Like, how do you have a shelter here in 20 seconds for like $2,500? But maybe there's something that I'm not seeing here. What do I know?
They might be, they're probably pre-built shelters that they're going to just drop in, so they just got to dig the hole.
Right.
But, and the funny thing is, and it was earlier, the way Sam was looking at things when they were looking at the suits, like being a physicist, like he's got to know that none of this would protect any of them.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like,
this is all nonsense.
this is nowhere near what it would take to actually have a true bomb shelter.
Like, even if you had, say, a 20 kiloton bomb that hit off the coast 200 miles out, the dirt and everything alone would bury that shelter. You'd never get out of it.
Murrockstra says average price of a car in 1962 was around $6,000, and a house in Southern California in the late 60s was about $16K.
But they were in Florida, and that would be a third of that at the time.
It was a lot less than that. Cars were around $3K in the mid 70s. I feel like we were born in the wrong era.
Yeah, because houses were in the 60s and 70s. They'd be between $30,000 and $45,000. And I remember when my grandparents were taking me through Niagara on the lake, and this was a really high end stuff. They were $1 million houses back in the late 70s, and these were huge, beautiful. Like,
you should have gotten one then. Today it would have been worth a lot of money.
Well, today they're actually worth $7 to $10 million. Just
right. So I'm
right
saying like you should have bought one when you were 5 years old.
Oh yeah, because I totally had $1 million.
Right. Yeah.
Who knows? That in those days they probably would have given you a mortgage.
At a 5-year-old, yeah. Well,
anything is possible. They gave it
Canada
to
has far more stricter guidelines with their national banks than the United States. So
Ron,
maybe
I was
in Niagara. Maybe I should just gone to New York, got a loan there, take it back with me, and bought the house.
Rhonda Nefero says, I lived through it. My mom bought our house for $16,900 in 1968. That is awesome.
That is a great deal, man.
Yeah, and also Caleb Levine says and families could survive off of a single income.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how like the husband could go to work and the wife would stay home and bake gingerbread cookies or something.
Well, make a Halloween costume for her little girl in this case.
Right, yeah.
You know, and I'm sorry I'm just going to sidetrack a little bit here, but that's what I learned about the 50s from Leave It to Beaver. You know how? Because that guy, he seems like such a pushover. He's like very moist, that Ward Cleaver guy. But he walks in and his wife is like, his name is Ward Cleaver, I think. She's like, Ward,
yeah, Ward.
I prepared dinner. It's all ready. I already put it on the table. Here's your slippers and your newspaper. Oh, do you want some coffee? It's like, this guy is like the most like, and he's not like a macho kind of, he doesn't have this kind of macho presence. In fact, he's like the biggest like wimp, yet his wife is like running around like to fetch him his slippers and stuff. And I think to myself, wow, the 50s.
The good old days.
The 50s were an interesting time, I guess. I don't know. I really have no reference. I didn't live through a time like that where the woman was running around fetching slippers. But man, all I know is that Leave It to Beaver thing, it's like a time capsule. It really teaches me how things used to be.
I don't even know how honest that show was to the real world either.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, this is a show written, like, they talk about how, male predominant Hollywood was. Like, I think that was more the male fantasy. But
I think so. I think it was more like Maude. It was really what it was like. You saw that show. With
yeah, maybe those shows don't really represent. But still, as a kid, I would look at these reruns and I'm like, I would realize that the way they act in these reruns is very different than what I know. I was always shocked by what I was seeing. It was very educational. But back to this thing here. The kids are watching this turtle telling them the famous duck and cover. Kids, if there's a nuclear bomb, you got to duck and cover. Yeah, we're going to duck and cover.
Then we'll be okay.
Sam does this stupid thing. I agree, Nick. This is very stupid. He like takes the gun, hides the bullet. I don't know. This is so stupid.
He unloads it, which is not stupid, but where he hides the bullets was
that's
dumb.
the dumb part.
He should have just kept them in the first aid kit. They wouldn't have found them there.
Right. Just hide them even in the same thing. Just to take some additional time. You could stop the guy with a gun, anything. And then you're right.
Compares them where the kids are playing.
That is the dumbest thing. Probably out of the whole series, that may be the dumbest thing that Sam ever did.
That's some real Swiss cheese brain right there.
That is, it's not the work of a physicist that won all these awards because he's so smart. This is really dumb.
Not a man of 4 degrees, 4 doctorates.
He's like, hey, what you doing? Nothing. What you doing? Nothing. And then he goes back in, and he's like, okay, where do I hide these? So
the perfect plot.
Yeah, he could have. That was probably fine. And then he puts in the, hey, little brother, have you seen my keys? No, let me try to help you find them.
Let me put them right here.
Oh, they were here. Oh, they were right here on the floor. Oh, I must have missed them when I walked in. Now, kids, and then it's again. You don't have to worry. The Russians aren't going to hurt you. They're also scared. They're people like us. It's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. What do you mean? But my daddy told me they're going to hurt us. You're saying that my daddy is a liar.
Typical blonde girl.
What did you tell my daughter? No, I was just telling her that she has nothing to worry about, that everything's going to be okay.
Why wasn't
Have you been listening to the news? Don't you call her daddy a liar?
It's the Russian government that's more interested in, any type of military aspect and not so much the Russian people themselves. Like, you have to make those discernments, especially in a communist state where it's like, yeah, they don't have freedoms over there.
Well, and the other thing is like, he explained it so well with the boy. And then when she said, daddy's a liar, he just starts going, well, that's not what I mean. What he really needed to do is, no, what your dad said is true, but this is why we don't have to worry, or something like that. He needs to prop the dad up, because that's what's getting her in a frantic, is that she's just like, you're calling daddy a liar.
He should have said, your father is true from a certain point of view.
I think he just should have gone about this the whole way, and then you should have said, oh, everything your father says is true. I'm just trying to tell you, like what Nick said before, the government is doing everything, the army, everybody's ready here. They're all ready to protect you. Your daddy is right that this is a real threat, but there's also good things happening in this country. I don't know what.
And he could say, hey, we have the shelter. We'll be okay.
Right. We got the shelter. It'll be perfect. Because he can say that because it doesn't matter, because that he knows how the Cuban Missile Crisis ends anyways. So
but he seems more concerned with not lying, which is the funny thing, is because I think he's more concerned that whatever he tells her to comfort her has to be truthful. So like, he's not willing to just pacify them, even though he knows they just need to be pacified to get through the next couple of days.
It's just two silly kids. He just tells them some nonsense and they shut up, and instead he gets himself into trouble every second.
Hot water. Yeah.
What are the odds that daughter grows up to marry a Russian immigrant?
Oh God.
Well, I made this dress for her to wear for her. She'll never wear the dress. Don't worry, she will wear the dress. It's going to be fine. Have you been listening to the news? Don't you see what's going on?
Like, that should have been an Al's recap at the end. If you win it, I said Al's recap at the end.
Yeah.
Al's recap at the end?
I was saying, like, you were talking about how she should marry a Russian. I should have added that to Al's recap at the end.
Sam, she marries a Russian. That's what you're saying, that he should have told her that before he leaves. But at least one thing I'll give them. One thing, even though this is the dumbest thing that Dr. Samuel Beckett has ever done, at least they had the dog in the background as a planting and payoff.
Yeah. That was perfect.
I'll give them that at least they did that. They're like, okay, this is the dumbest thing that he's ever done. Let's do planting and payoff.
Because the dog's can come over and be like, wait, I didn't bear anything over here. Let me see what's going on.
And the fact that the dog is like playing with the sand there, and Sam doesn't think about this, that's just like
he's too distracted by Al's jacket.
Oh God, yeah. I mean,
what does the brother tell him at this point? Remind me.
Oh, he's talking about, you upset my daughter.
Oh, right. You upset my daughter. Why did you tell him that I lied? Well, I just want to make sure the kids know that it's okay not to be worried. And then the dog comes in.
I Googled that, by the way. Another plot hole.
What is it?
The shotgun shells cannot be ignited by applying pressure to it like the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Like
no, they cannot.
That's probably true.
It is.
Although if the dog swallowed it, it could be very bad for the dog.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been good if he swallowed it. That I'll give him, but I don't think
stomach acids and gunpowder do not make a good man.
Right.
I mean, it's not really necessarily explosive, but it definitely is noticeable.
What's the matter with you? You could have hurt my kids.
I almost thought this would have been bad, but I almost thought that while the dog was chewing on the shell, like it was gonna fire, explode, and hurt somebody. I was waiting for like that special effect shot of the dog's head exploding. I know it's not in the purview of this series, but
it didn't seem like that's what was.
I was worried that like the kids were going to get hurt or something for a brief moment, but in the end, Sam always makes things better. Like sometimes he goofs stuff up in the medium, but like they've never shown him go and accidentally get people killed and stuff like that. So that, I couldn't see that happening.
Yeah, I guess I understand what you're saying. In any case, back to this thing, and then he's like, I want you out of here. You're no longer going to live with us, brother. You got to go. And then as he's saying that, he's like, and arguing with him, still, then he sees the birds and like, there's a special bulletin, and now... Yeah, well, I spoke to Khrushchev this morning, and we're going to do with the missiles, and you got to be careful. And I don't remember the speech that Kennedy gives here, but that was my best. That was the best John F. Kennedy you're going to get out of me.
Kennedy, you need to take that off of your repertoire.
Well,
that's not a good Kennedy.
We got to go to the moon. So what is it? I'm sounding like a cowboy again. I guess all my voices sound like a weird cowboy.
Variation of a cowboy, yes. But he's talking about how they Cuba dismantled and packed up their...
I spoke with Khrushchev this morning, and he said they were going to be able to do anything. And
that's a weird Kennedy impersonation. I spoke to Khrushchev this morning.
That's good. You should do that. You should do the Kennedy one. I can't do it.
And then there's a blackout.
Oh yeah,
there's a blackout.
This was all pretty dramatic.
Undisciplined spoof of a soldier.
All right, we're all going inside.
Get Sam, please go get him.
He's okay. Don't worry about him. Hey, you'll never see him again. Then I think,
and that's when Bert
shows
tries
up
to make his way back into the shelter.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I need to share
the second part.
The second part, yes. Rondon Afero suggested to me a few ideas this week how I can use some kind of tool to make it so that it's not 2 files. But for now, I just do what I do. For now, it's 2 files. It's part of the ritual. Even though it annoys Tex Rogers, he's just going to have to live with
it. Like a little intermission.
It's a little intermission, very little. And then
they're trying to keep Bert out. Dad goes to get the shotgun and then takes the very bullet that was in the dog's mouth to load it in there. And he's like, I wasn't going to shoot. I'm just going to scare him. It's like, then you don't need to load the gun.
Yeah, right.
Right, exactly. Sam, he still dies.
Why? Well, he wasn't killed with a shotgun. He was killed with a 38. It was Stevie. Stevie did it, and the dad took the fall.
This was a good way of seeing the Russian soldier through the kid's eyes.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Fear.
Yeah. Paranoia, fear.
Stevie, listen to me. Listen to me. Don't do it. Don't do it. And then he goes, Stevie, duck and cover. Or not yet. Stevie, duck and cover.
Well, he squeezes off 2 rounds and misses. Thank God.
Yeah, thank God he misses. Well,
And Khrushchev has agreed to dismantle his armaments, and we will do the same for ours. And then I won't going to listen to CIA anymore. We're going to disband him.
You are the official Kennedy impersonator. You are the official script. You have become the official Kennedy. Anytime there's Kennedy, you're the guy. I'm never going to attempt. I'm never going to attempt Kennedy again.
And we thank you for that.
I knew a lot of New Englanders growing up.
Well, you were right about a lot of things, weren't you?
Oh, she gets calls that people are canceling their orders.
Yeah, that's 5 of them canceled,
That's
which
5 of them today, and then the phone rings. Make that
15
6.
grand.
Yeah.
And then make that 6, Sam. Make that 6. And then, well, what am I gonna do now with all this company that I have? Well, instead of selling them fear, why don't you sell them fun and put a pool just like a bird had in his backyard? Sam, you did it. They opened their own business, and now they're gonna
the biggest pool
company in South Florida or something.
You change history. They're gonna be the biggest pool company in South Florida.
And she's gonna marry a Russian.
And the daughter's going to grow up to marry a Russian expatriate. And Stevie's going to get shooting lessons.
Yeah. This was intense.
Yeah, no, this is actually interesting. And it leads into a very interesting episode. Sam,
but not having seen that episode yet, first thought on my mind, though, was they're recycling him about to being electrocuted.
Yes.
Like it's crazy that happened not only in the same season, but like 3 episodes apart or 4 episodes apart.
Well, one is death by electrocution. This is electroshock therapy. I mean,
but she says he's turned it up to the point where he's going to die.
Yeah.
Which there shouldn't really be a setting.
Well, it does seem like a bit of a mirroring of that thing. I agree with you, Nick.
Yes.
But maybe it's a coincidence.
Which is something. It's funny. It makes you wonder if this was part of the writer's room. They're talking about it, and somebody goes, "Oh, well, what if it's electroshock therapy?" And it splits into 2 stories. You see that a lot.
Right.
CBS shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll have like 3 or 4 different crime shows that share some of the same writers, and you're like, wasn't that like the episode last week on the other show? And it's just, you can tell like it's a writer's room type thing, or like they're all on the talking about the same things, and they get similar episodes.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's as if they sat in the writer's room and maybe they had a few ideas that like were sort of competing, or they were trying to develop different ideas, and they liked both of these ideas, and they're like, wait, why don't we do one episode where he's on an electric chair and then another episode that he's getting electroshock therapy? It's not a stretch. It's not a stretch to believe that there's a reason why suddenly around this time there's a few episodes that have a somewhat similar motif. But I think it's still cool, and they do very different things with them, so it's not an issue.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure when we watch the episode, they're going to be 2 complete. But it just, the fact that this is like the end tag, teaser twice in a couple of episodes that he's going to get electrocuted.
Right.
You're not allowed to do this without a doctor. I can do whatever I want. I'm going to put this on his head.
Darn it.
The doctor told me to do it, and that's good enough for me.
Exactly. And then
a little recap of the previous episode.
Ends like this, and then it has the
I find it amazing the stuff that in the back then that people thought would protect you from nuclear,
Well, I mean, people that knew what nuclear explosion was knew it wasn't going to protect you, but it was such a new technology, a new thing that the powers that be were able to convince everyone, listen, we just need to keep them calm because they are done for. And even if it's a lie, it's better than the truth, because the truth would cause damage irreparably prior to the attack. And if there is an attack and they still cause that damage, what are we going to do next? Right. So
Caleb Levine says writers loved Amnesia and Quicksand in the 80s.
Oh, yes, they do.
That is possible. Marcelo says the episode coming up was originally the season 3 finale. That is correct.
Okay.
I was, as a kid, I was freaked out about Quicksand because of 80s TV shows.
Yeah. And living in Chicago,
have a lot of Quicksand. That is true.
I don't run into Quicksand.
Super Mario Brothers 3, also Lincoln and JFK, similar events. Both were shot on a Friday, both shot in the head, both fight for civil rights. Kennedy Lincoln warned not to go out that day. Interesting. And uplifting. He gave us a real boost there at Super Mario Brothers. In any case, so that was this episode. And I guess now we can dig a little deeper. So when you were watching this episode, Ro, how did you feel? Now you can go into a little more detail.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to give it a chance. I was being kind of turned off with Bakula's portrayal, again, fish out of water. I thought it was a little over the top. But I think during the episode, I think some of the details of the story, of the narrative, were giving me good feelings as far as seeing where it's going. I mentioned earlier that it seems like the story was very well planned out and written. It was kind of a tight plot. So I really enjoyed that. There wasn't not that the episodes have a lot of fluff, but sometimes it takes a while to kind of get to the point. But this episode was really tight. Well thought out, and I enjoyed it. Like I said, there were little parts in there that really elevated the story overall. And it's one of those episodes that kind of like made you think about, current events in our world and stuff like that. So I enjoyed it.
I'll give my thoughts in a second. Let's go with script.
I thought it was not too bad. It was a basic episode. I agree. Sam had a couple of blunders that were out of character for him this time around. But I liked the kids' performances a lot. I like that actor that plays the dad because he plays like very despicable characters really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the brief scenes that you get of the mom were pretty good. And Bert, I like that character actor also. He's funny.
Yeah, so, I think I've seen him in the most stuff, the Bert character.
Yeah. I mean, I would say this is an average episode, maybe a couple of points above it. Not significant points, but just a couple of points above it, just because it has a good theme. It has an irony, which we and Sam acknowledges, that we know there wasn't going to be any nuclear attack. So we're seeing a very authentic reaction to the people that didn't know what was going to happen tomorrow at all. And I thought that was pretty decent.
I mean, okay, sorry. Now you go, Nick. How did you feel about it?
I liked it a lot too. I mean, I think I was the first one on here to point out that I was frustrated with Sam, but that aside, I think this is a really good episode, and it tackled something new. I think we've had lately. We've talked about some episodes not super thrilling us, and a lot of that is because we've already done all the like really take your breath away. Whether it's the LA riots, the Miss Daisy episode. He's been a woman in a number of different situations. We've kind of covered some of these big different social things and events, Vietnam. But this is a unique thing because I think it's interesting from my perspective. I mean, I might be the youngest one here in the group, but 80s and 90s, growing up in that era, there were bad stuff going on in the world, but we didn't have social media, and it wasn't constant on the news like it is in as we see in here. Like, they're going to school and they've got the duck and cover. There's like children's cartoons made to prepare them for a nuclear attack. It was everywhere. It was pervasive. Everybody was living on edge, and it very much mirrors the social media world that kids are being raised in today. And so I really liked the juxtaposition of looking at that then, and like, just these kids weren't having a carefree childhood because this was a constant threat to them. And young kids today, they get on social media and they are bombarded with all of the big problems going on in the world, and they're just consumed with anxiety. They're angry, they're frustrated, and they often don't understand the situations to the fullest too. And they're on social media talking about it, and it just the amount of depression, the amount of different things that we see in the world today, and we kind of see the mirror image back then, and I really liked that perspective.
Yeah, I think that first of all, I agree with the things you were saying. The other thing is that, and I think I don't know if you or other people said it here. It's weird how history goes inside sort of these kind of cycles. At the time, you said Russia whenever this was made, and Russia already wasn't that type of threat. But today, I think Russia is in a different situation than it was then. Now people actually do think, oh, what's Russia doing? So the idea that like, oh, it's some old thing, Russia doesn't mean anything anymore, and I don't think that's the case. I think Russia still means something today. Maybe you're not sitting around and looking for a bomb shelter, but they're still a significant power.
Well, and I think we're also desensitized to it. And at that point in time, they went from a world where it couldn't end by a push of a button to a world where that can happen. And it's been that way long enough that everybody's kind of had, yeah, but it's not going to.
Right.
It's just, so where I live, we have tons of forest fires. I've had to evacuate multiple times. Never has it damaged my house. I have known people who have died because every year they live in a really bad spot. They get told they have to evacuate, but they're kind of up on a bald hill, and they go, well, there's no way the fire could get me. And they have years of built up. It didn't happen. And so now they're desensitized. They don't even worry about it. And then something happens. So I think that's like today, things are heating up. It's getting crazy, but the majority of people look at these situations and they go, yeah, but it's not going to happen to me. And then every now and then we get, a 9/11, and it's like, whoa, stuff could happen here. Or we get COVID and we go, whoa, diseases, craziness could happen here. That before that, well, that happens in other countries. That happens in Africa. That happens in Asia.
It's been happening since the days of Noah and the Ark.
Yes, and that's
good biblical reference there.
Always, yeah. Also, there was Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot's wife turned into salt. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
What his daughters did to him is unforgivable.
That's true.
That was
true. and also they shouldn't have. Saul's Lot's wife shouldn't have turned around. She was told not to look back.
Right.
That's why
I don't know how that
pillar of salt
lies the Cuban Missile Crisis, but
because she was like the kid.
Yeah. Okay.
She was like Bert the turtle. Sorry. I tried to connect
Bert the turtle is like the person that was knocking on the ark after it was floating.
Right. Right. That's probably a better analogy. Anyhow, got all biblical here. In any case, I'll tell you what I think about this episode. I thought it was competently made, and I like the fact that it was trying to do something. It's not easy to stay fresh with a show like this. So we haven't had something that he's sort of doing this bomb shelter thing, and it was nice that they could tie a historic event and how he kind of knew knowledge of it from the future, yet the other people around him didn't know. I thought that was interesting, and in that sense, it was competently made. Maybe because they made Sam such a dumbass, there was something that didn't always sit well with me. But I think the overall idea is pretty good, and it's definitely a serviceable enough episode. But it is sort of a mid-table episode for me. It's not like a bottom 10, but it's not a top 10 either. It's like it's kind of a middle of the road type of like I said, a mid-table episode.
And even though it's not the big thing we kind of see at the end, the message of gun safety that is such a big thing that, you know, that's something I deal with in my line of work. You know, it still shocks me to this day, you know, how many people want to have it at the ready, so they have it in their nightstand, or they, you know, and that's not in every state, but like here in California, that is illegal to have it not secured. If the ammo and that, you have to secure one or the other, and otherwise it's negligence, and just that's something, you know, could have gone so much worse as it did in the original timeline.
And by the way, the dead man asks if I remember Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, it was a long time ago, but you know, it's hard to forget. So yeah, I think that I think this was a pretty interesting episode. Do you guys have any additional kind of thoughts? Anything you still want to say?
No,
Bro, script, Nick, anything?
Mm-mm.
Then if there's nothing else, yeah, what was it, Nick?
I just kept getting. I meant to look it up to see. It would have been after this, but Blast from the Past. Just kept thinking about that movie while I was watching this.
Is that the one with Brendan Fraser that he lives in a thing with Heather Graham or something, and he stayed all these years in a shelter thinking there's a nuclear explosion, and then he's kind of an idiot, but Heather Graham is hot.
It's Alicia Silverstone, not Heather Graham.
I kind of like Heather Graham,
but I like
more than Alicia Silverstone.
I just remember the ending of it. You know, he brings his parents out into the world, and the first thing his dad does is start measuring out a new bomb shelter.
Right. Was it Alicia? I guess. Sorry. I remember there was a appealing woman, but I guess I was mistaken as to what appealing woman it was. But in any case, let's go through some names that are shout outs to people that are here with us today. Tex Rogers, Ron Donofero, Super Mario Brothers 3, Mur Rockstra. Some of these people I've already said hi to, but, you know, Tracy Alexander, Caleb Levine, Malachi D. Wildman, Lisa Katryan, Matthew Marcillo, DJ Play Nice, who says, "Wee." That's usually what he says.
That's what you're supposed to say as you duck and cover.
Exactly. Where's some other people here? Love the chat interaction, though. I always love that. Robnut Skubla. Is he turtly enough from the Turtle Club? Turtly enough for the
That
Turtle
is such
Club.
a bad movie. That is a bad movie.
Which movie is he referring to?
Master of Disguise.
It's
one of those. It's an SNL movie.
Oh, okay.
But it's what is it? Carly. He made a movie where the movie's about him being a master of disguise, but he's a really awful master of disguise, and they're all his bits that he's ever done.
It's his legacy is that his ancestors, including his father, are all brilliant masters of disguise, and he was the bad one. And Dana Carvey is the guy that he just doesn't.
But it's like a gentleman's club called the Turtle Club, and he shows up in a giant turtle outfit.
Yep.
And then starts breakdancing. It's a bad movie. It's a really.
I have to check that out. I'm not familiar with it, but Starro says it's also a reference to the Duck and Cover film having an animated Bertha Turtle. Yeah, I know what you mean. Let's see. I hope I didn't forget anybody.
Maybe they just thought he looked like the turtle from that. It's like it was such a weird thing. Like I feel like there was maybe a line of dialogue or scene that got cut.
Probably because they were watching this turtle on TV, and then they called that guy Bert the Turtle. And I'm trying to understand. There must have been something that connects all of this, because the guy's just like, my kids call him Bert the Turtle, but they never really explain why. I'm happy you like the voices, Lisa Katrina. I tried my best. even though I have to say that Script did a much better Kennedy, and we'll never attempt Kennedy again as long as Script is here.
Thank you.
It was a good Kennedy script for real. Let's see. Did I forget anybody? I'm trying my best. I said Rob, not Scoobla, I think. Tracy Alexander, I said. Trying my best. The Dead Man. Dead Man is cool. Thanks
Super
for hanging
Mario
out.
Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers 3, of course.
Ghost
and then
Fixter.
there was the Ghost Fixter, yeah, who joined the chat at some point. There is I Have No Dick, who has the most interesting name on YouTube. I love Price's Southern accent impression, but his Kennedy, yeah, no, I agree with you. That is absolutely.
Price has learned his lesson.
I learned my lesson.
No more JFK.
I understood the general vibe, but I couldn't really get the accent down. I don't know why. It's a weird accent, and I couldn't really get it. Plus, it's not like I really am good at accents. I just, say whatever seems okay to me, and it probably sounds super weird. But if people are amused, then it's, I guess, worth something. Malachi D. Wildman, I think I already said. And yeah, I think we went over everybody. Of course, if I forgot somebody, I apologize. But I think for the most part, I think we got to everybody.
Now I want to know, Price, what's your Nixon like?
I am not a crook.
That's not bad, actually.
That's not bad, yeah.
In any case, I guess. Oh, Lady Luna. That was and with a super chat.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you, Hun.
Thank you.
Another relaxing Thursday. Thank you for joining us, Lady Luna. I don't know who the Hun was here, if it's all of us or me, but I'm willing to take the title. I'm willing to be that person. It sounds like a compliment. So
take it when you can.
I'm gonna intercept the compliment for myself, although I assume she was implying that she's happy with all of us. And we're happy with you. Thank you for being here. And then I guess wait, let's see what Tex Rogers. There isn't just a Southern accent. Texas is not the same as Missouri. It's not the same as North Carolina.
Very true.
That is true. I probably don't know how to do any accent. I just kind of wing it. It sounds kind of silly and weird. And if nothing else, at least maybe it's amusing.
I'm surprised the Louisiana accent doesn't have more French to it, considering the fact that,
right.
It was part of New France.
but it depends on what part and what culture you get there, because there are some that do have a little bit of a.
Well, I know the Canadian part, which was originally like the Canadian French part, which then later split off and became Cajun. And I recognize that. But like I've been to Louisiana like maybe 5 or 6 times. 5 times for sure. Have not met anyone that would have something close to a French accent, but then many with a French last name.
But Tex Rogers is bringing up the South. Southern people can do all the different Southern states' accents. They're very much aware of it, and I feel like it's the same as like with British. Like there's so many different accents there in the UK, and people in the UK get them. When Americans try to do it, we just sound like Dick Van Dyke.
That's very true.
Caleb Levine sounded like Nixon with a broken nose. Thank you.
But when we do the South, like everybody just kind of adds a drawl, and they mix and match it all into one, and go, well, that's a Southern accent. But when you watch like some of the YouTubers from the South do each other's voice, like they've got it down, like just how different it sounds.
No, I don't have any of that. First of all, considering what my regular way of talking is, the fact that I can even do some strange Southern accent that is at least mildly amusing is an achievement for me. But it's probably not accurate to anything, and probably anybody with a Southern accent listens to it and thinks it sounds really stupid. But at least maybe it puts a smile on a few people's faces, and that's the best we can do. but script is Kennedy. That's all I know. That was a good Kennedy. I was impressed. And I guess on that fine note that we've gone over everything, and Tex Roger says, oh, it's fine as a Southern accent. Southern in quotations, whatever that means. I don't have a Southern accent. Well, that's good to know. And I guess on that very positive note, once again, bro, he has the Sacrif Podcast. Make sure to check that out. Amazon, Apple, Spotify, the Sacrif Podcast. That's Ro's podcast, which you should be listening to. In addition, you have the Script Doctor. Every Saturday, it's 7 p.m. Scripts on Saturdays, and that's 7 p.m. Eastern. And this Saturday, I'm going to be on that show with Script, and we're going to be talking about screenplay. You should check out what's happening on that channel. You should subscribe to it if you're not already subscribed. Script does a really great job with his show. And then finally, we have the Backyard Tardis, which is Nick. He has his YouTube channel, The Backyard Tardis. He also has Adventures in Locksmithing. I know you kind of took a break for a while, so I don't know.
Yeah, it should be coming back soon. If I'm going to do anything, come tomorrow by the end of the day on socials. We're having some serious issues with our recent puppy, and we're 35 grand in the hole already, and she's having surgery tomorrow to have some polyps removed, and
she didn't swallow a shell, did she?
No, she didn't swallow anything. That's what we thought it was, and then we paid for an even better place to do X-rays, and then they said no, it's this other thing going on. She's got a polyp there. We don't have the equipment because she's so small. We don't want to open her up. We want them to do it endoscopically. So we're going to a special facility tomorrow that we've been waiting almost a month to get into. We're hoping, they've not been very clear with us about what the price is. We're hoping it's going to be still within our budget, but I may have a GoFundMe tomorrow. I don't know. So, we've really fallen in love with this little puppy, but man, it just been a struggle lately, and we just want to make sure the dog does okay.
Well, we all hope so as well, and definitely keep us posted if whatever's going on.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week for me. We had 2 days ago, my dad had knee replacement surgery, so we've been dealing with that in his recovery, but and he's doing well. But then turn around and get to deal with this.
People are asking, next week is Thanksgiving. Can we skip next week? And you know what? Thanksgiving is a real holiday. That's on Thursday, right?
Specifically on Thursday.
Specifically on Thursday. So yeah, we won't be doing anything. Sometimes I don't know if I end up having any time or not. There's always a chance, like maybe I'll do something where I sit and talk about something, but I think it's a really mild chance. There's a good chance that on Thanksgiving I won't actually be available either. So let's just say it's an official holiday on that evening.
So
for now,
you heard it, everybody. Halloween's not a real holiday.
Did I say Halloween?
Well, that was the last one where you were like, "Oh no, we don't need to skip it."
Well,
right. No, Thanksgiving, that's a real thing. That's a big deal. People sit and have dinner and things like that with their families. So I want to be also, first of all, I may go to a meal and do that, but also I want to, give the other people the opportunity to do that.
Right. I'm just teasing, of course, Script will be like, well.
Script doesn't know what we're talking about. He's like, what are these people talking about?
I know what Thanksgiving is.
No, I know but it doesn't mean anything. Like you're in Canada, probably.
No.
We have a different day.
We had our Thanksgiving during the time where you actually harvest food in Canada, because you get winter slightly less later than we do. So that's why. Also, our meaning for it is not the same as yours, where the pilgrims and the natives coming together specifically for a feast to help out the pilgrims. Ours is more complicated.
Well, ours is complicated too, but we don't talk about it.
But less violent, much less violent.
Well, I guess that means that next week there isn't likely to be anything. Sometimes, maybe I think of something, maybe I'll do a pre-recorded something, maybe I'll talk about something, but the chances are low. Generally speaking, unless there's some unexpected twist, for sure there won't be a review of an episode. If it's just some stream there or not, I don't really know, but there won't be an official one. The next time we do
Price will do his pre-recorded top 10 ways to survive a nuclear fallout.
Exactly.
And you got to use all your voices.
All my voices, my 2 voices are all going to be there. And then I guess the week after that, not Thanksgiving, but the week after that, then we're going to do the Shock Theater one or whatever that episode is called. That one is going to be really interesting. So really looking forward to doing that. We'll see you here, I guess, in 2 weeks for an official episodic review. And before we go, of course, we'll do our outro. Thank you for everybody for hanging out with us. And now let me just find our outro. I'm such an awesome guy. I make so many videos. And my friends are awesome too. They make so many videos. I'm such an awesome guy. From